and welcome to DSR Daily. I'm David Rothkopf, and I am joined by Riley Fessler and Minna Stein. How are you, Riley Fessler and Minna Stein?
Excellent.
I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. Well, I don't know how I am. You know how I find out? I listen to you guys. You tell me what's going on, and I go, this is how I am. Usually bad. Sometimes, I'm going back to bed. Sometimes I can't handle it. So, Riley, where are we starting today?
Well, I may have overstated the excellence of the day because President Trump announced that he would take over policing in Washington, D.C., claiming the city is overrun by violent crime and gangs. He cited the city.
Can you see any of that from your window there?
Every day. He said that's why we work from home, so we don't have to go outside in D.C.
Yeah, it's too dangerous. Yeah, go on.
He cited the city's murder rate and youth crime as major issues, despite data showing that both violent crime and homicides have been declining since 2023. Trump's intervention includes mobilizing 800 National Guard troops and having the FBI patrol the streets, though his claims about the city's hellscape status are largely unsubstantiated. His longstanding fixation on urban blight seems to be the driving force behind his actions, even though DC's crime rate is comparable to or lower than many other major U.S. cities.
Urban blight. Really? Are you falling for that? This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with three things. One, an authoritarian impulse. He wants troops out in the streets saying he is the president, he's the boss, he can impose his will. Because it intimidates his opponents and it makes him feel strong. There's a story out this morning that the Pentagon has actually developed, a military unit for deployment where? Into American cities to respond to unrest or what they call unrest. See, what they call unrest or what they call emergencies aren't really emergencies, as you pointed out. DC crime is at a 30-year low. There is no emergency, just like there is no invasion at the southern border. These are excuses for authoritarian acts. Another reason he's doing it is politics. He can go after democratic cities, take power away from democratic officials, and also threaten others with similar actions. That's what he did yesterday. He said, well, we've been in LA, now we're in DC, and we're coming for Chicago, for New York, for Oakland, for Baltimore, for other cities. So that is particularly worrisome element of what he's doing. But the final element is just good old-fashioned racism. It's part of his brand. And essentially everything that he said yesterday was a veiled attack on people of color in Washington, D.C., just like everything he does is in some way a pillar of a kind of white supremacist or Christo-fascist, or call it what you will, racist view of the United States. That invasion is an invasion of brown people. The steps we're taking on immigration policy are to keep brown people out. The people we are targeting by denying visas to people to our schools are people who don't look like Americans, who come from other countries in this world. The people who are impacted negatively by Trump programs, by cuts to Medicaid, by the big ugly bill that the CBOE yesterday said would make life harder for the bottom quarter of our population, is a bill that's targeting who? Well, who's in the bottom quarter of the population? It's disproportionately people of color. They make up the majority of low-income Americans. When Trump spoke about they and them and the gangs and the people in his, you could tell he was doing what he did in New York decades ago, which is race baiting. And so there, you have it, authoritarianism, political revenge, and race baiting in a toxic cocktail targeting DC. But stand by for more. Coming to your city soon. This is where we are in the United States, and it's not just ugly. It is a departure from everything that we've ever stood for as a country, even with the checkered past we have on racism and other sub elements of this.
I watched the press briefing that they did yesterday on crime in DC, and it looked like they were doing like a group project on crime in DC, and they would have gotten an F. Like Trump would go, okay, and now Kash Patel is going to come up here and tell you about Northern Virginia. And then Kash Patel would go up, and then Trump would like yell things that he should say from the sideline. It was very disorganized.
Yeah, and by the way, I just saw a thing this morning. Two counties in Northern Virginia were identified as the two safest counties in America. There are two towns by where I live here in Montgomery County in Maryland, identified as the two safest suburbs in America. Crime is down in the city. Washington is a beautiful, wonderful city that, just like other places, struggles with crime and so forth. And in sort of reasonable levels that are getting better all the time. I do kind of deplore, the Dems who are like, well, he has a point. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's a criminal. The biggest crime that has violent crime that's taken place in DC in the past century was orchestrated by who? By him. And then what happened to the people who attacked the police that he says he supports? He pardoned them. He's stealing money daily through corruption. He doesn't have a point. He's a criminal. He's a convicted criminal himself. He's led the biggest crime that took place in DC in the past century was masterminded by him. He said he wanted to protect the police yesterday, but he doesn't want to empower the police. He attacked the police. His people attacked the police. And then when they were convicted for attacking the police, what did he do? He pardoned them. He's not anti-crime. He's making the most corrupt government in American history. He's a sexual predator. He's trying to distract from hanging out with other sex traffickers. I mean, come on. Don't fall for this bullshit. Sorry. I saw somebody said on the internet that sometimes I rant. These are not rant. These are reasoned, calm, expert perspectives on Washington. That's why you're here. Reasoned, calm. And maybe because you are reasoned and calm, Riley. But why don't you guys give me another story?
Well, I have started to feel unsafe in DC right around January 20th. It felt like the city became overrun with criminals.
Exactly.
Since then.
Exactly. It's like, it's like a criminal mob took over our government. Don't fall for it.
Well, speaking of the criminal mob overrunning our government, President Trump has nominated economist E.J. Antony, a critic of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, to lead the agency after firing its previous commissioner over allegedly manipulated job data, claims widely rejected by economists. Antony, affiliated with the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025, has frequently questioned the reliability of the Bureau of Labor Statistics data and has proposed reforms to improve accuracy, though experts say he may face challenges enacting changes. The nomination has sparked controversy, with some economists calling Antony unqualified and warning that politicizing the Bureau of Labor Statistics could undermine trust in its vital economic data.
The old expression, that there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. Well, it's going to have to be revised. There are lies, damned lies, statistics, and Trump administration statistics, which is going to be the most outrageous form of lying after all. I think we're all going to have to find new indicators, new signs to tell us what's going on or to provide us with metrics. because there is no question whether this guy gets, confirmed or is put into an acting position or is replaced by somebody else. What Trump is going to do is what he has done his whole life. It's what he's known for as a businessman, not deals like he says it is. It's cooking the books. He's been convicted for cooking the books. He is a book cooker, and he is going to cook the country's books because he thinks it'll make him look better. But all of us are going to know it's not true because we're going to be feeling the reality. And that's the one thing that he just can't paper over. Riley?
The United States and China have extended a tariff truce for another 90 days, preventing a significant increase in tariffs on each other's goods. This extension, which was set to expire on Tuesday, gives both countries until early November to continue negotiations. The pause prevents tariffs from reaching triple-digit rates, which would have essentially created a trade embargo. The extension also provides relief for U.S. retailers, allowing them to stock up on goods for the holiday season at current tariff rates.
What does TACO stand for?
Trump always chickens out.
Yep. Well, certainly he does with China. Why? Because China's real big and because China is not going for his bullshit. And so it makes him back up and back up and back up. And I think he just wants to come up with some kind of deal with the Chinese that's along the lines of the deal he has with Japan and the deal he has with Europe and the deal he has with a couple of other people, where they say, okay, we'll buy a bunch of products in the indefinite future, which they won't actually do. Trump will declare victory, and then we will, move on much as we were. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the garbage truck outside of Riley's window, which is taking away the rats from Riley's apartment building. In any event, we, should not expect Trump to take a tough line with China. Otherwise, he might have, a week ago when he said to India, well, we're going to penalize you for buying Russian oil. India is the number 2 buyer of Russian oil. I'll give you one guess as to who is the number 1 buyer of Russian oil, and they are not getting secondary sanctions on that.
Texas Democrats have blocked a Republican-led redistricting effort by fleeing the state, denying the legislature a quorum, and prompting national Democratic leaders like California Governor Gavin Newsom to threaten retaliatory map changes in blue states. Newsom warned Trump to abandon the plan or risk an escalation, proposing to redraw California's congressional map to offset potential GOP gains in Texas. Meanwhile, Texas Republicans are intensifying efforts to force Democrats back, issuing civil warrants, threatening fines, and vowing repeated special sessions until the redistricting plan is passed.
What do you take away from all this political theater? One, it's political theater, and sooner or later the Democrats will come back, and sooner or later the Texas government will, do something. Probably will gain more traction after August because this is the news silly season where people aren't really paying much attention. But of course, it's not about that. It's not about Texas, or it's not about California. It's about the fact that Donald Trump and MAGA and the Republican Party fear that there is going to be a major backlash against them in the 2026 elections. And they're trying to go back to the earlier comment on this podcast, cook the books, put their thumb on the scale, cheat, crime. And it takes a lot of forms. Sending troops into cities where they might remain through election day and disrupt elections. That could be part of it. Trying to cut back on the Voting Rights Act via court cases. That'll be part of it. Gerrymandering. That'll be part of it. Passing new laws requiring new kinds of identification, making it harder for people to vote, particularly poorer people who, as I pointed out earlier, happen to be people of color. They want to cheat. If they thought they were doing real well and they thought they could win without cheating, they might be doing that, but they don't think that's true. And the reason is the economy is in bad shape. Trump is unpopular. Trump's big signature piece of legislation is unpopular. The immigration crackdown is unpopular. They're governing badly. They're stealing. Epstein, blah, de blah, de blah. I mean, there is a long, long, long list. And they fear losing. And so they're trying to find a way to, win in an unfair way. Expect more of that. This story is just a symptom.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is a proud member of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, an arch-conservative Christian network. He recently drew attention for sharing a video from CREC pastors who believe women shouldn't have the right to vote. The network's co-founder, Pastor Doug Wilson, is a proponent of patriarchy and Christian nationalism, believing the U.S. should become a Christian nation. Wilson confirmed Hegseth's appreciation for his teachings and noted the network now has more connections to national government than ever before.
Hey, great. What could go wrong? What could go wrong with having a Secretary of Defense with white supremacist tattoos who doesn't think women should have the right to vote, who fires women in top positions in the military, fires people of color in top positions, bans books about people of color and women? What could go wrong with an entire administration that talks about targeting wokeness, but is really targeting advancements for women, for people of color, and that is making, as of this week, new moves against the rights of LGBTQ plus people, including seeking to bring up before the Supreme Court again a case about whether or not gay people should have the right to get married in this country. As I said in the first story, this is about racism, intolerance, hatred, and a desire to essentially, as I said in a piece at the Daily Beast that's still up about yesterday's press conference, to essentially criminalize being anything in the United States except a right-wing Christian white male. And if you are not a right-wing Christian white male, they're coming for you. And that's where we are. They're overt about it. They're proud of it. They thump their chests. What should really happen if somebody is found to be part of a group that doesn't think the majority population should be allowed to vote, or that thinks the country actually ought to ignore the Constitution on separation of church and state and become officially a Christian nation? They should be fired. They should be forced out of office. But in this particular situation, they are elevated, celebrated, and embraced by Donald Trump. That's where we are, folks. Sorry, it's not a more uplifting day. Hopefully you will go out there and find ways in your own way to make it uplifting with your family, through your work, in your community. And you will counteract the bad news that's coming out of the nation's capital and from elsewhere around the world. We'll talk about some of those stories. We've got a Need to Know coming up later today, which is going to take a deep dive on what the situation right now is with Israel and Gaza and Israel-U.S. relations. We are going to take a deep dive tomorrow on Deep State Radio, taking a look at the Putin-Trump summit, giving you sort of prep for what's going on with the Putin-Trump summit. And of course, we will on Thursday have Norm Ornstein. We've got Scylla Consciousness coming. We got everything you could possibly want here at the DSR Network. Join us for all of it. If you like it, support us, become a member. It'll make a difference. Go to the dsrnetwork.com, click on membership. It's not much that is required to become a member. You get a lot of benefits. extra content, no advertisements, and you help us. And frankly, right now, in moments like this, you need people like not just us in the morning, but the experts we've got on every podcast, including the daily blast that we do with the New Republic. Although Greg Sargent's got a week off, doesn't he, Riley? We're doing sort of greatest hits on that one, aren't we?
Yep. Greg is taking a much needed break, so we are giving you the biggest and best episodes of the last couple years of Daily Blast.
Well, so that's something to dip into as well. But join us here for all the live content that we've got, new content every day. We look forward to it. And for now, thanks, Minna. Thanks, Riley. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.